So I was in Texas over the weekend, so we were getting a bunch of ads, and on national football, but also Cruz and Allred. And the Kamala ads, I don't know. I kind of get what they're doing, but I want to just play. This is one of the Super PAC ads that I saw a bunch, and I don't want to listen to that.
She worked her way up.
I had a summer job at McDonald's.
He was born there.
I'm very rich.
She fights for you.
When our middle class is strong, America is strong.
He doesn't.
Well, you're rich as hell. You're going to give me tax cuts?
She has a reason for running.
We are helping dig families out of debt by telling billionaires to pay their fair share.
And so does he.
They want to put me in jail.
Kamala Harris, for you. FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
So she's had a bunch of ads that are kind of in that vein. There's some that are more gauzy and positive. They're just this Kamala's for the middle class, Kamala's for you. I get it. I get what they're trying to do there, but I do wonder if they're like how much more there is to be gained by that, having such a generic kind of populist message, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do you think about that?
And sort of a bio middle class message, biographical middle class message, which is good. I sort of think I think it was reasonable to do that. It was important to do that, and it did help Harris separate from Biden, be a forward-looking younger candidate, get to a slight lead over Trump. I don't think it's enough for the final 5 weeks now, and they may not think so either. I mean, I was talking with Ron Brownstein about this the other day, and I don't know if this is based on reporting of his or just his thoughts. So I stipulate that, but he said he wondered if they were planning to pivot now to the tougher message. Now you can't risk Trump for many reasons. 15 million people being deported, and a crazy craziness and petulance and volatility in the Oval Office, and tariffs and whatever, right? And that wouldn't be a bad 1-2 theory of the campaign, build up Harris and then close by really clobbering Trump, both on a sort of ideological stuff. He'll cut taxes for the rich, but I would say also on the kind of almost personal unfitness to be president stuff. And that allows you to bring in some of the Republican voices and people who serve with him and the like. So I don't know, maybe do you think they're trying to, is that in their mind?
I hope so. And I totally agree with that. And I just want to say, I think that the strategy has worked with the vice president, right? Like her favorables are way up. You're introducing people to her. They needed to know basic bio stuff. They wanted to kind of hear what the top level priorities would be for administration. And I think that there's maybe again, some more that could still, be done there as far as just reassuring people that didn't know enough about her. But yeah, I think at this point, I think that like most of that has been accomplished, and like check, great job. But it was striking to me the contrast between that ad and what Trump is doing. Here's the ad that Trump was running during college football over the weekend.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
So, I mean, it goes without saying, but it needs to be said that is disgusting. And and the images, if you're looking at the images, it's just really gross, the way that they're demonizing and being cruel to trans and non-binary people. I also don't know, like it's a little bit, I think, in the MAGA bubble, like I actually don't know how great it is at speaking to swing voters, like the liberal media and Kamala's for they, them. I don't know, like that's like kind of stuff that sounds more like it appeals to Daily Wire listeners than it does to like a median voter. That said, like the contrast of like Trump's campaign, like giving people a new piece of information about her and why she's extreme and very harsh language versus kind of the gauzy ads that she was running. I don't know. I mean, maybe like the theory of the case is just we're gonna try to keep a positive sheen on this and let them obsess over these niche issues. But I do just worry a little bit about the imbalance there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I assume these are both very wealthy campaigns and wealthy super PACs, a lot of money, and I assume they're testing all these ads, and they at least superficially test well. We've seen this over the years. An ad can test well in some focus group and, even a dial group. Doesn't mean it necessarily really has an effect on the campaign ultimately or changes voters' minds. And so, the trans thing strikes me as a little niche. On the other hand, I don't know. Maybe they think it just is stands in for just general cultural
She's a far left liberal,
right, and stuff. I mean, but I assume they'll come back to the more core immigration, crime, border, demagoguery here for the last 2 weeks. So they're running just a totally negative campaign. I mean, and I don't know. I'm a little worried that it could be having an effect, and a little worried that I think she's trying to answer. She went to the border Friday and all that, but crime's down, and they touted those statistics a little bit. But I think, I guess I have a vague sense that they need to take the gloves off and go after Trump and not spend a huge amount of time answering necessarily what Trump's doing. They have to do a little of that, of course, but more just really say, okay, you know what? Let some of these voters think Harris isn't quite where they are on immigration or even on surgery for transgender
what is the being on it for? I guess that they don't, that they're on the very important issue of sex changes for prisoners.
Right, exactly. But let them be a little unhappy about that, but let them be more unhappy about the idea that Donald Trump's going to be in the Oval Office with his finger on the nuclear button and making big decisions about us at home and abroad over the next 4 years. I do think you probably need at the end of the day to I myself bought it a little bit into over the last couple months. You can't impart new information on Trump. They know everything already. But I now think they need to alarm people about Trump a little more.
Yeah. I got to tell you, if you are listening and you have a friend or family member who lives in a swing state who's been seeing this ad and has expressed to you that they're concerned about the sex changes for inmates issue, I'll give you my personal phone number. Yeah. I'd be happy to speak to somebody one-on-one about and assuage their concerns about the rampant problem, I guess, in 2025 about too many inmates getting sex changes. But I agree with you that it's kind of the standard. I think we've seen before, like the trans panic campaigns have not been very effective. Right. So I don't overstate the power of this ad in any way. We've seen it backfire for Republicans before. But I just do think that your point about using it as a stand-in for her is extreme, while she's while the other ad that they see in the same break is like, I'm for the middle class. There's just the valence, the emotional valence is just a little bit off, I think.
One issue that she does have that she's of course talked a lot about, and I think using a lot in their paid advertising, but maybe not quite, ironically, not quite as much as they could, is if you're going to, let's get tough and say, okay, what is Trump going to do to hurt you? There's this very obvious issue, abortion, right? I mean, if you want an issue that's emotionally valent, that has real terrible stories associated with Trump, as she put it well in the debate, Trump laws in states like Texas, where you were, October 7th, which is both the anniversary, obviously, of the Hamas attack and massacre, but also I think the court's new term begins Monday, a week from today, October 7th, Supreme Court's new term. Pretty good occasion for her to just bring Dobbs and Roe v. Wade and abortion rights and what Trump has unleashed back to the forefront. So maybe that's their theory. They'll do that, and they'll do I hope they do a little foreign policy, and really, what would another 4 years of Trump appointments, some more Supreme Court appointments, a Trump presidency with a Republican Congress, which would probably happen if Trump wins the presidency. What does that produce? So, but I think it's time to pivot to those kinds of attacks.
They did have one really good abortion ad. It doesn't seem like it's been airing as much as the more kind of middle class positive ads. But let's just actually put that in just so people can hear it.
I've never slept a full night in my entire life. I was 5 years old when my stepfather abused me for the first time. I just felt like I was alone on a planet with a monster. I was 12 when he impregnated me. I just remember thinking, I have to get out of my skin. I can't be me right now. This can't be it. I didn't know what to do. I was a child. I didn't know what it meant to be pregnant at all. But I had options. Because Donald Trump overturned Roe v. Wade, girls and women all over the country have lost the right to choose, even for rape or incest. Donald Trump did this. He took away our freedom.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
So yeah, I mean, like, that's powerful, and I agree with you. I think that just as a political matter, there's a lot more potency there, and it maybe would have, I don't know, eased my agita if during the commercial breaks of Georgia, Alabama, I was seeing that out instead.